You mentioned culture, changing, transforming culture. Where does that start? Does it start when you're first hired in the HR process? Where does that transformation start?
The biggest challenge in all of this is we actually have to change how we measure work, right? The bizarre thing about what we do today is we talk about productivity all the time, but my theory is that we've basically forgotten what productivity means. We've got a definition of productivity that goes back to the Industrial Revolution, right? And at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, productivity was basically output per unit of input. And so now everything's based on that definition of productivity. But productivity as a concept existed for like 300 years before that, which was about making stuff. It was about making things. And the problem we have in the world of work today is our focus is all on measuring process. So how many emails have you sent? How many hours did you work? How many forms did you fill in? Is the car any good?
Right.
Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if we start measuring by outcome, right, and really focus on the outcome, then we can actually change the way in which we work. And when we can change the way in which we work, we then start to figure out that actually the technology enables us to work in an entirely different way. Most of the business processes we have today, we've inherited from our analog past, a world where computers never existed. And yet, because we're human, right, we like past experiences and they kind of shape our future experiences, so we can just carry on doing the same, even though the technology lets us do things differently. So we think if you focus on the outcome of what you want to do, is the car any good, and then you can start to peel back. You start to peel back all of the process and you realize actually we don't need a bunch of this stuff, or we could do it in a different way. And then that too starts to allow people to work differently, to engage them in a different way. The final challenge with this is, measuring outcomes really, really hard, because it's fluffy and it's soft and it's nebulous and all that sort of stuff. It's very subjective, it's not objective, and that often puts organizations off. But actually you've got to grasp some of that. The future is a bit ambiguous. By its nature, it's going to be ambiguous. You've got to figure out, based on where you want to be, how are you going to measure that? Simple things like customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction. If you want to understand if your organization is going to be able to handle that kind of change, employee engagement. And there are loads of ways you can measure that. So it is slightly chaotic, it is slightly random, but we think this not only enables your way of sort of engaging your employees in a better way, it also puts the technology in the right place. Technology is supposed to be a gift to us, it's supposed to be a transformational thing. It's not supposed to be something that constrains and controls how we work. Ask any employee one question, right? Do you get enough email, right? And you will get that response,
Absolutely.
right? Well, hang on a minute. How could we let that happen? We did a study in the UK last year that showed 77% of the UK workforce thinks a productive day in the office is clearing their inbox. Right? That's just mad,
Yeah.
right? When did email become the process of, email's the process of work, it's not work itself. So all of these things, I've had a bit of a rant here, Carl, sorry, but all of these things come together, and I think, focus on outcomes, enable your people to be both engaged, and then they will become transformational, and then get the technology in the right place to support it.